Hello, everyone. My name is KJ, and I'm the host of Great Talk and Entertainment Official Channel. And today's special guest is someone who loves Charlie Brown, who loves the Vulture from Marvel Comics. This my special guest loves going to Comic Con events like the New York Comic Con and any other Comic Con in the world. My special guest likes collecting comic books. He may be a scroll. He may be a mutant. He may be from Gotham City. Who knows? The one and only cosplayer, Michael Mahler. Welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. My first question I want to ask you, and I ask all my guests this: how did you get into cosplaying?
Well, that's real simple. Probably 2015, I think, was our first New York cosplay. Like you said, I've always been into collecting comics. My older son, had gotten the same love for that. So him and friends went with me to Comic Con. Never had any idea what it was about, and we saw all the incredible cosplays, and we looked at each other and we said, "Next year, we're doing something." And that's it. That's what started it. I mean, we started with basic bodysuits. I think my first one was the Spot, and we tried to make props to make it stand out. So I had a mannequin hand on a fabric disc that the Spideys could hold up into their throat, looked like it was coming through a portal. Yeah, went from there. I met a lot of awesome cosplayers along the way.
Awesome. And how did you feel? Did you see the Into the Spider-Verse movie? To was
Yes,
that's how you based it off of, or more comic book like?
for my comic
Yeah.
or for my Vulture.
Yeah.
The Vulture, I want to do old school. I think that that's the best representation. I think that although Michael Keaton's great, I think they really did do it justice in the movies with the Vulture, the big machine. I saw a variant of the old school Vulture with the tattered wings, and one look at him, I got the face, so I went for it.
Awesome. Awesome. What was a challenging cosplay that you put together that was very challenging for you? Might have stressed you out. You may have got a little frustrated about it, but at the end of the day, it turned out great and you loved it.
Yeah, I think that would be when I did Mr. Freeze a couple years ago. I did the Scott Snyder 52 version. Um, didn't go for the whole dome, so I did a crack dome. Put a batarang in the neck, and it was all going very well. And then my son is more of the he helps template the body, and I put it together. So that's the frustrating part for me, is getting to that point where I can actually template everything myself. I tell him, "You get me this far, and I'll do the rest." So he templated the harness, the chest. But then we wanted to do something different. So I actually put in the chest plate, I had a magnetic catch. I could open it, and I had a mini fog machine in there. And through the tubes going to the neck, it looked like cryo freeze mist coming up through. That took some doing. Again, I'm not very mechanical. So, research here, research there, get the right parts. But in the end, it really came out, in my eyes, came out pretty spectacular.
Oh, I would agree with you on that. It looked good because I saw it on your Instagram and I thought that was really cool. Um, with Mr. Freeze, what's one thing you like about that character as far as just a villain wise?
I think that first off, I love to play the villains. Without the villains, there's no heroes, and I think the villains got much cooler backstories. And I think Mister Freeze, just his whole what's going on with him, the tortured aspect, trying to do this to bring back his wife. She's in cold freeze herself. It's the love of his life. He's an angry, angry individual that just wants justice, uh, and goes awry. I think that's one of my best things for him.
Awesome. What with James Gunn now doing his own universe for the DCU, and we got the Robert Patterson's the Batman. For that particular character, Mr. Freeze, where would you rather see him pop up with like the the what James Gunn's doing or what Matt Reeves doing with the Batman?
I think with what Matt Reeves is doing, James Gunn is more of a kind of a goth look, and it could be done pretty cool, I'm sure. But it's got a lot of electronic magic in there that I don't think it would come through as the classic Mr. Freeze.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if I agree with you, if Mr. Freeze is the next villain in the Batman Part Two, I would hope like he would get some inspiration from the Arkham Knight
Yeah,
game or the comic book because he was more I guess the word is grounded type like character, not like
right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's type, but I love Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze and stuff. Like, that's what I grew up to and stuff. Speaking of another character that I thought was really interesting is your Charlie Brown cosplay mixed with like it reminds me of Ash of the Dead, The Walking Dead, like
Yeah,
Negan
I
and
did. I
stuff.
did get a few references for that. Now that cosplay was actually based on Weapon Brown. It's a graphic novel that was basically collaborated every comic strip character in one apocalyptic universe. Um, I took a variation from one of the art in the back. I don't have the big muscles like Charlie Brown, Weapon Brown did, but they had one with a chainsaw arm. And people in my generation get the reference. I didn't put it in, but from the picture, uh, with the chainsaw for an arm, he's carrying a kite.
Oh,
And
that's
basically, that's
awesome.
took out the kite eating tree. So I went that route. And, everybody said, Charlie Brown? I said, Weapon Brown. And they said, aha, okay.
Oh yeah. And how did you put that chainsaw together like that? Was that more 3D printed or PBX?
No, that was all handmade. I'm a carpenter tradesman, craftsman by trade. The body was made out of box veneer. Ran the ports on my router, and everything from that was foam, EVA foam, and a lot of good how-to videos on YouTube for the chainsaw blades to move. There is a video up online where you could see one of my full front with the chainsaw actually working from the New York Comic Con. Put a little nod to Schultz, of course. It was one side of the blade said Schultz 50. That's when it was introduced. And Blockhead was his trigger name for the comic. A lot of people don't know that this is the 75th year of Peanuts for anniversary. So I wanted to kind of give an homage to that, keep it respectful. Charles Schultz, people don't know about him. He was one badass. He served several years in World War and was in a tank battalion that helped liberate 2 concentration camps. So he was badass.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. What's a cosplay do you want to cosplay or a cosplay you're planning to that you can share with us?
All right, so we actually have been friends with several cosplayers for the last couple of years, but the last 2 years we've been talking a lot with the real Destro. And if you've ever seen his cosplay and his group, they're phenomenal. They're great people. They actually work with the veterans. So my son and I have been talking to them. We said, hey, we kind of like to be recruited. So there are different chapters all throughout the country, and there's a chapter in our area that deals with canine and matching shelter kill dog. Shelters with dogs that are going to be in the put down, and they match them with veterans. So he said, hey, we'd love to have you build a cosplay and, introduce you to the group. So I would actually like to do Dr. Mindbender.
Ooh, that's awesome. That's
Again,
awesome.
got the face. So,
You can pull it off.
but on the top of that, there's one I would really love to try to do, and it would be my first bigger build. Other than a character, would be the robot from Mars Attacks.
Ooh, that's awesome. That would be awesome. I want to see that for sure. Now, you are a comic book collector, it says.
Mhm.
What type of comic books do you like to read as far as between the Marvel, the DC, the Star Wars, and all that?
Well, I originally was all Spider-Man growing up. I collected 90% Spider-Man, a little bit of the X-Men. I love Chris Claremont, Alpha Flight. But as we got into this generation, I don't know, I just didn't like so much how they split off to where you had to follow a character and buy 10 different comics to keep in the storyline. So I kind of got out of collecting for a while until my son got into collecting. And once he got into collecting and we got into the Comic Cons, a whole new series popped up. We got IDW. I love IDW. I love the Flash Gordon series. I love what they're doing with James Tinian's with his run for Invisible Man and the Universal Monsters. I love that group. Scott Snyder's writing is incredible. Capullo, of course, for Marvel, you can never beat. So, but yeah, there's so much more new content out there that kept me interested and kept me going.
How do you feel about like comic books from when you're started, as far as like storytelling, the drawings to it, versus like the comic books like your son and every generation now that reads comic books, like, as far as storytelling and the graphics, in your opinion?
Right. That's a good question. So I think that in the original back, my generation when I was collecting the 70s and 80s, you really had the impact of the story and the art together. I think 90s kind of got away from it a bit. It was more about splash pages and the writing. The writing. It just, I don't know. I think the stories were lacking. But yeah, today's generation with the new writing, I think they're getting back on top of things. One thing I would like to see is like what Shooter had said in a video before he passed away. Let's get back to the real comic story. Keep it simple. Good versus evil. Why is this bad guy doing this? Make it entertaining. Stay out of politics. I think going to politics and comics is not the way to go. I appreciate the old school. I mean, let's face it. I'm 55 years old. One of the things I'll never grow up. I'll never grow up because I like the comics. I don't want to. I can deal with politics outside of comics. I want to keep it that way.
Oh, I agree. I was just thinking what you were saying. Like, I always love going to something like this style of, it's just nothing too fancy versus like uh, a comic like this, just, but I love the drawings, but I love, if I can every time I come across something like in this type of style, I always pick it up. It just
Absolutely.
brings back good memories for me, and it just gives me back to basics of just enjoying, like, maybe it's just a one-off story, but it's just a story to enjoy anytime you want, and
Yeah.
just seeing that. So I always appreciate this, like, this day.
Absolutely.
Um, and if somebody was to come to you and say, "Hey, I want to start reading comic books," from what Marvel comic book would you recommend, and what DC comic book would you recommend?
All right. Marvel Comics. Hmm. I would say you got to stick with it. Amazing Spider-Man. The run, the runs come back around. It's got some really awesome alliances now with former criminals, Venom. I love the whole aspect of Agent Venom. Flash Thompson. DC, Scott Snyder with the new Batman. Awesome, awesome story. Awesome new twist on the characters. Dragotta with his artwork, incredible.
Oh yeah, I agree. For me, it's I would say for Marvel too, just Spider-Man and anything X-Men. Like, if you can read about the mutants, you're good. Like,
Yeah.
and then, I always tell people, and anybody who wants to get into comic books for DC, I always say try Lobo. If you can't get with Lobo, you're probably gonna struggle with like certain Batman comic books, or
Right.
um Wonder Woman or Flash type. But if you can get into Lobo, then I'm telling you, you're gonna enjoy DC Comics.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how they do with.
Um, what's what is your opinion on, like, just again, just what's your opinion on cosplaying back then and cosplaying now? How have you seen the difference between the two back then and now from when you started to seeing today's work?
Yeah. So like I was saying before we got froze up on the screen, we're seeing a lot more company style where people get funded to make cosplays and they're incredible. Um, your average cosplayer cannot do that kind of work. It's making it more of a business. I understand that's today's world, but I really like to see what we have so many talented people in the cosplay world that what they can do, uh, hunkered down in their own basement, like my son. He was Cosmic Ghost Rider this year. You'll see him all over New York Comic Con, and what he produced just in our basement with his skill level, with his talents, using our local makerspace with laser cutting, is just phenomenal. So that really shows that the true craftsmanship of a cosplayer that does it for the enjoyment of cosplay.
Awesome. And I wanted to ask you a like I guess a little bit of a controversial question, but how do you feel about people using the AI program with their ideas of doing cosplaying or anything like that in that particular
I
area?
think along the lines of cosplay, I don't really see much of an issue with it, but of course, there's a big taboo in the world of art. A lot of people are just seeing these things online, saying, "Wow, look what this artist does," and it's not, of course, what they don't know, it's an AI. But let's remember that we're where we are because of these great artists from the beginning of time and these great storytellers, and AI is just it just takes it all away from them. You don't want to see the recognition for what we really love and what we grow up with because AI is going to come in and cancel that.
Yeah, because I get it. Like, a lot of people like to take photos in their outfits and use AI for a background images and stuff. And but you can
Yeah,
all,
yeah,
but
that's
you
fun.
but I always see, I'm seeing a lot of content creators who cosplay like they'll educate people and show like, hey, if you want it to look like this is how you do it. Like, for example, Halloween's around, so the character Scream. They show an easy way to use on like your Instagram edits or whatever, that you just dress yourself as Scream and then cut this out here and then take a video of yourself here. It can look like Scream's watching you, but it's just you in two different
Right,
areas. And I always like
right,
that. I'm glad it inspiring people to want to help make a DIY it, do it yourself editings, which is, it takes a lot of time. I'm not saying it's easy to edit, but once you mastermind, practice a few times, you can make a really good, decent edited photo of yourself with whatever cosplay character you choose to. So I always appreciate people just trying to get more involved for the cosplay community and help better it in the long run. So I think that's cool.
right. I did see one of the best panels I did attend at Comic Con this year was for the new season of Primal coming out. Of course, I can never remember how to pronounce his name, Russian name. But anyway, he did Samurai Jack, Dexter's Laboratory, and one of the Q&A questions was from a young coming into the world of anime, and they asked an AI question, and you never saw so many people boo at at one time that question.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I can imagine. Do you like anime? Are you an anime fan or?
I do. I like certain animes, like I said, Primal. I guess you could call that along the lines of anime, more animation, but Primal is an incredible series. Samurai Jack, incredible series. I love the Marvel zombies. I love the Batman series and the Justice League along animation. I think when they did the Batman in the Gothic world was incredible. So I for me, growing up, I always wanted to be a cartoonist. I have an instinct for art. Um, I can basically draw anything by looking at it. And when I bumped into Todd McFarlane, we were talking about that years ago when I first got to meet him. He said, "Oh, you're a cloner. That's cool." But I can't do it right out of my head onto the paper. So it was always frustrating. But yeah, I've always loved the animation.
Oh, that's awesome. Um, have you watched any of the samurai where Batman's in a samurai world where he's him in the
Yes, that was pretty incredible. We were looking forward to it a lot until it became more of like a Transformers movie.
yeah.
But no, that was I that style art. Wow, what they did with the incorporation of the Japanese art with all the supervillains, I think was really wild.
Awesome. And when you like, do you travel to other states to Comic Con conventions, and which ones would you like to go if you could?
San Diego is definitely on our bucket list. Dragon Con, I want to do Dragon Con. The only other cons that we've done is in Philly. We did that. I think that sometimes the smaller cons are better, more fun. We love the retro cons in Philly. My son has done Rhode Island. We were going to go to Rhode Island this coming month, but he's got a lot of repairs to do the Cosmic Ghost Rider after one day at New York, so he said he's not going to be ready.
Oh yeah. I that I can't wait to see Ghost Rider again back in the MCU at some point. Especially the Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Now, I would love to see now they got the female Silver Surfer. I would love to see her do the female Cosmic Ghost Rider. I think it would work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you mentioned the San Diego Comic Con. What's something there would you love to just be in the panel with all the upcoming future films and trailers and stuff like that, or would you rather just be with the just the cosplayers as far as that over there?
I think the first time if we ever get to do that, I think it's just going to have to be not plan on doing a cosplay because it's going to be a lot of transport and just to soak it all in. I do like to see what's coming up in the industry for the new movies, but I think that that is the creme de la creme of the cosplay when we go out there. So I would love to see that. But I mean, a lot of it for us when we have been going to these New York Comic Cons the last couple of years have been more about getting back into the actual comic artist and writer and really appreciating what we see there. Again, we wouldn't be here in cosplaying without all of them. I think a lot of people are forgetting that or not really seeing that. They see it more of a movie industry than anything. I was fortunate this year. I got to get pictures with five or six different like icons in my eyes: Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Claremont, Eric Larson, who, if you see a picture of Eric Larson on my site standing side by side with me, he is a literal giant. I never knew how big he was. So yeah, I think that when it comes down to any con, it's you got to get back to see those artists, you see those writers, tell them how you feel, tell them thank you, because that's why we're here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I totally agree. A little bit more back on the comic books. Do you have any? And I can kind of see it in your background, but do you have ones that just you will never touch that's so valuable, like it's just mind
Well,
blowing?
I don't have, I mean, I have a few that are, I want to get graded. I recently found a Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen #1 in a antique store. It's
Oh
probably
wow.
about a 2.5 or 3, and then graded, it could be worth up to $900. I got it for $9, so I was happy with that. Um, my Todd McFarlane Spawn, I will never, I literally ran into him as I told my son the first year we went to Comic Con. I got to go find where the signing is. Turned around. Ran into a gentleman, dropped my book, and as I picked it up, I looked up. I said, "Oh my God, you're Todd McFarlane." And he said, "Yeah, you want that signed?" And we walked for 15 minutes to the autograph booth, and we got to talk those entire 15 minutes. So that book has real sentimental value.
Awesome.
Touch. You can see in the background there. This one is just pure art. It's the IDW Donald Duck in the gilded frame.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the artist in who did that frame is from the Netherlands. His name is Wouter Tulp, and he was hired for an art appreciation cover, and he chose Van Gogh's Man with a Hat. And that actual oil print that or oil painting that he did for that sits next to the Van Gogh in the Van Gogh Museum still. It was that
Oh,
well received.
wow.
That's how much of an artist this guy is. So I tracked him down online and I said, "Hey, I love this book. If you're ever in the States, I would love to get a signature." And he texted me back. He said, "I really appreciate that you love my work. Here's my address. If you want to spend shipping to and from, I'll sign it." So it made over a 7,000 mile round trip from here to the Netherlands. Got lost in Chicago for 2 weeks. I was a panic. And when it came back, I made that frame for it. And it's the only IDW Wouter Tulp signed comic in existence. So I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's, not everybody's got that, but you got one. That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, that is neat. Like, I'm I don't really collect comic books. I got comic books, but just to see you explain and show what you have, that is so amazing. And I know in that world, getting the rarest comic books is like tooth and nails at times, like because you never know who has what, and you never know what they're asking for it, and just to see if it's real or fake, it's always a 50-50.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's such a it's such a hard, like, I've seen stuff a little bit of that through like shows like pawn shops, or just going to my local pawn shops or comic book stores and stuff to see like a rare comic book, and knowing the difference between real and fake and all that. It's such a very challenging. But for you, how long did it take for you to to understand and strategize and like smarten up on real and fake when it comes to stuff like that?
Well, for the most part, my collection is from when I was growing up. So it was I can still remember getting it folded in the mail. Uh, but as far as buying books of higher value or older, um, never an issue knowing if they're real or fake because I do my hunting at antique stores. That's going to be finding a lot of stuff that, like I said, when I got that Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, this tiny little antique store, I know they got a little niche in the back where they have old comics brought in by this older gentleman now and then. And I make it a routine, check in there every other month. And used bookstores, great for finding old comics. So I kind of stay away from trying to purchase anything from actual comic shop of high value or on the internet. I don't get involved in that. I just that I love the hunt. I love the hunt. I actually have recruited my mother. She's retired. She's in her 80s, and she's actually hunts comics for me in antique stores in Virginia right now. So
Awesome. Okay, so the last three questions is, what advice would you give somebody who wants to get into cosplaying? What's one advice you would like to share with them that you wish somebody shared with you when you first started?
uh, first off, is you got to pick characters that you love. Just don't do it because it looks wild. Like when you're in acting, character actor. Uh, Choose something that you can look like or relate to. Um, Low budget. Start out slow. Do something basic that you can make more of prop work for to make it work until you have the capability to do the actual better costuming. I think that's key.
Awesome. And then what's your Mount Rushmore, which I just before, comic books that you would say is your all-time favorite?
All-time favorite the one that my Grail, I really would like to find a clean, top-notch copy of Amazing Spider-Man 41, The Origin of the Rhino. Um, Basic storyline, old school villain. He got into crime because he wanted to bring his mommy over from Poland. Became a bad guy.
Number two for your Mount Rushmore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Number two. Let's think about that. I would have to say, if I were ever, we had an opportunity once, I have a connection at a flea market. He called me up one day and said, "Hey, he's the sports card memorabilia." He said, "My partner just got a collection from a woman that said that she found in her father's attic. It's been there since the 40s, possibly the mid 30s." I called my son up and I said, "Call your buddies up, pull some money. This possibly, if it's he says it is, there's every chance we could find a Detective 27, Batman." Uh,
Ooh.
it turned out to be a bust, but we were ready to go. uh, Third, I'm gonna say it would have to be Wolverine Hulk.
Oh yeah, love that. I love that
Yeah,
comic book. I got one more.
I believe is 381.
Yeah. Oh man, so good. So good. Okay, and what's something that a fond memory that you enjoy when bonding with your son at these things that you can share with us? That's just a fun memory for you and him.
Um, I think that anytime we're going along, somebody that wants to take our picture together, of course, we try to get pretty recognizable and comprehensive cosplays, so we get our pictures. But I think that for the most part, fond memory is just watching how my son started out with a simple uh, Captain America style or suit, or actually, I think it was Winter Soldier. Um, and then 90% store bought to getting where he is today, just to seeing how artistic he is.
Awesome. And just the final thing is where can people follow you at if they want to stay in touch with you and collaborate with you with
Yep, that's Instagram, midlife cosplay 55. And I'm going to give my son a boost too. He is cosplay day.
awesome. Definitely follow them, everybody. And thank you so much, man. I appreciate this. And please, everybody, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Subscribe, hit that notification so you can always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace out.